welcome to Simplify My Small Business. This week, episode 49, step 2 of Tim Ferriss's deal methodology, all about elimination this week. I'm Simon Hampson.
I am Adam Stanecki.
Of course, last episode, Adam, we started our series looking at Tim Ferriss's deal model. He introduced it in the 4-hour workweek, and we covered definition, didn't we?
We certainly did. That was good fun, and now we are continuing on to the E.
So hopefully all of you out there have clearly and precisely defined what you want. I want a car, I want a house, I want a new business, I want a new life. Some things we can't help you with, other things you can set objectives for. So this one's all about eliminating all of the excess in your life.
Love this one. It's one of my favourites. I did a whole bunch of stuff way back before we got started, and I back in the days of the business job, which one day will return, and it was talking about eliminating all the crap in your life. A whole series on stuff like just taming your email inbox and how to use voicemail on phones and saying no to people and getting rid of the stuff you don't need in your life. So I really like talking about this kind of stuff.
It's a really great process, I think. It's a really clear definition process to achieve what you want. We were talking about SMART goals on the last episode, weren't we? And that's very much in the D section, I think.
Yeah, and the nice thing about elimination, the way that Timothy Ferriss has put it together, that it just flows really nicely into eliminating. So once you've defined what it is you want and you've gotten nice and precise and you've got very exact numbers, and you instead of saying I want a car, you can actually define which make, which model, which year, which colour, which rims, all that kind of stuff. And it sounds like overkill, but it's not, because when you can get a really clear picture, then you can work out what's going to stop you from getting that thing or that experience. And that's what elimination's all about, is removing those roadblocks.
As a brief aside, do you think Timothy Ferriss prefers Tim or Timothy?
I reckon he's a Timothy kind of guy.
Really?
And he's probably Tim when you know him really well and you've bought him a couple of margaritas.
Maybe that's...
Maybe we'll have to get him on the podcast and ask him said question.
I think we should. I think we should start the 6 degrees of separation from Tim Ferriss episode.
I don't know. I'd probably only go like 2 degrees. We've probably talked to people that are already good mates with him.
Probably.
This internet thing, I don't think it's 6 degrees of separation anymore. It probably is 2 to 3 degrees of separation now.
What's Kevin Bacon going to do?
Dude, he's in trouble, man.
He's in big trouble. Anyway,
everyone's getting closer and closer to Kevin Bacon.
Speaking of elimination, let's move right along. So we were just talking about the idea of elimination is to phase out and remove the unnecessary things in your life. So starting off with one of the first things, wasteful processes.
Yeah, I suppose this is more
about that, weren't you?
Yeah. This is one of those ones. It might resound more with people who own a small business or work in an office or even blue collar. It doesn't really matter, but you can see when you work within a process what works and what doesn't, and what's wasteful in terms of time and money. We're talking about getting decent outcomes, high quality, and we want bang for our buck. We want value for our time and our money. So we can review these things over and over again, and we often talk about test and measure. So like, let's take, for example, a sales process. It's not the hardest thing in the world to measure. You can create yourself a document that tells every one of your people who are doing any type of sales what kind of language to use, what kind of questions, what kind of queries will be given to them by people who want to buy, what the buying signals are and all that, and how to answer certain objections and things like that. And then once you're running with it, you can refine it by knowing what works and what doesn't.
Yeah, totally.
So you can find what's going to be wasteful. Now that's just one example. If you're a blue collar worker, let's say you work in roadworks or something like that, there will be some process of work that you do out on the road that you will be able to notice that something doesn't work, or one of the process people, wherever that person might be, the site manager or whatever, can see problems with that process and they can eliminate the wastage.
I think that's a wonderful kind of analogy to make. When you're on the tools, so to speak, you can see quite directly what's wasting either resources or time.
And you talked about this recently with, was it GE? There was a lady at GE who saved the company a packet.
Yeah, exactly.
By mentioning some kind of wasteful process. So, we can look at wasteful processes in terms of business and jobs and where we are employed or where we employ. But there are wasteful processes in the way we do things just in our life.
And I think it kind of comes to a point that I'd actually put a bit later on in the notes, but it's probably good to raise now, is that I think visualization is a really important part of elimination. Is, just as you might weed your garden or tidy your desk, weed your life, weed your kind of processes in your business, and pull out the things that are killing off the 20%. If we talk about the Pareto principle, the 20% that are actually really
80,
productive.
20, yeah, you're getting inside my head today. I was going to talk about 80-20 as well. Yeah, it's a bit freaky, but exactly right. You can once you've worked within a process, no matter what that process involves, for X period of time, you can see what works and what doesn't, and that's when you start tweaking things. And Tim Ferriss created this whole deal methodology in relation to lifestyle design, which is the term he coined, to encapsulate the idea of creating the life you want for yourself. So he's talking about elimination in terms of once you've set your lifestyle goals and you said you want the red Ferrari with the shiny rims and all that kind of stuff, and you want the holiday in the Bahamas twice a year. Okay, you've got all that defined. What's getting in the way? And let's knock those things out. So it might be stupid shit you do with your life, wasteful stuff that you do every day, like watching too much TV. There you go, bang, eliminate that. Reading books that you shouldn't be reading. Maybe instead of reading so much fiction, you could read a non-fiction book in there somewhere that will help you learn more about what you need to do. And it's like there is wastage just about everywhere. Now, this isn't to say that you shouldn't rest and you shouldn't have fun and you shouldn't have that recreation time, but there are certain ways that you can reduce the waste in your life to make the attainment of those awesome lifestyle goals more, bring them closer.
I guess that's something that we always wrestle with in our lives, is the in-between, isn't it? It's not black and white. It's not you can't have rest or you have rest and it's totally unproductive. We know that there needs to be a bit of rest. It's just about, okay, what's the right amount? And what is the amount that's stopping you achieving what we defined 2 weeks ago in episode 48?
Yeah, it's all well and good having these wonderful goals, but you're never going to achieve them unless you start making some positive changes. And that's what elimination is all about, really. The next point I put down could be read in a couple of ways. So I've written here, for everyone who's not seeing our notes, I've written unnecessary roles. And so I've actually got three things to say on this. One is, in a business or any process within the business, there might be too many people that are involved in touching that piece of work, let's say. And you can often remove one of those people. More often than not, this is point number 2, it's yourself. Now, if we're going to actually get to the L of deal, which is liberation, which is our freedom, we probably want to remove ourselves from 99.9% of the stuff that goes on in the business so it can run without us.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's eliminating the role that is your role in just about anything. Like I can think about the gym. I don't need to know about every member who asks about the status of their membership.
Of course.
There's no need for those queries to come through me. We've got guys at the gym who do admin tasks. They don't need to CC me on that. I don't need to waste time on it. So I remove myself from that. That's one less person in that loop. The work gets done, wastage removed. I'm not worrying about it. So if I go on holidays, nothing's going to get put back because Adam didn't okay some membership kind of adjustment. And these things happen all the time. The third one, there are unnecessary roles that you might have in your life. You may play roles that have absolutely they don't take you closer to attaining the goals that you've just set yourself.
And here's actually a fairly painful part of the deal process, for a lot of people, both in work and in their personal life, is changing their roles and changing other people's perception of them in those roles.
Yes.
Because you know about the change you want to make. You've already defined it in the D stage. So I think a huge part of the E stage is good communication.
Yeah, telling other people what you're about, what you're doing, why you're doing it, why it is important to you.
Correct.
And the other painful thing is there may come the time when you have to eliminate people or relationships or depth of a relationship because it's just not working for you. I mean, there are people that will be around you who will just go, oh, you can't get it. You can't possibly do that. You can't go to the Bahamas twice. You'll be able to afford it. And a red Ferrari is way out of, stick to the Commodore. That kind of stuff. Then they're not going to help you, these negative kind of people. So maybe they need to be eliminated. So no one ever said this DEAL thing was going to be easy. It's pretty awesome, but no one said it was going to be easy. So yeah, there's a bit of pain involved.
Definitely. What about all the overcomplicated steps in things that you do in your life? So, we have little hidden procedures in our heads that say, okay, after I do step A, I have to do step B, and then I do step C, D, E, F. When in actual fact, we could probably go from A to C to F in most cases.
Yeah, and again, 80-20.
Exactly.
Yeah, so are we doing these things because we like to do them, or are we doing them because they're necessary?
Well, so whereas at the last step we were talking about change being difficult for other people, this is the step where change for you yourself becomes, it's more focused on that difficulty of changing yourself.
Yeah, and you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable. So you got to start digging up what you normally do, and it's somewhat about challenging your habits, because a lot of what we do in work and in our life it's comfortable, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's right because it's comfortable.
One of the ways that I guess tried to weed out complicated steps is by practicing mental focus. And the way that I did that is I actually put myself into situations where there was sensory overload. So lots of music in the background, far too many things going on my computer, maybe my phone was still there, and really trying to phase those things out for lengthening periods of time. So I'd say, okay, I need to write 500 words now for 10 minutes and only focus on that. And then the next day it might be 15 minutes, and so on and so on. And that was actually a mental exercise in order to eliminate distraction, Yeah.
Okay, good job.
So a way of practicing.
So
which I found really useful.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome, because it takes you to talking about the elimination of distractions, which might be sound, environment, it might be a job that's not working for you, it might be people, it might be the way your desk's set up, it might be your phone, it might be your email, it might be Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. All these things can distract us from what we really need to do. And that's one of the big things. Like Tim Ferriss talks about this all the time in his book, but like removing those distractions is key. Absolutely key, because you can't get anywhere. They're just going to block you from doing what you want to do. And I know certain things, like if you're working on admin tasks in the office at your place of work, and your family members keep calling you during the day, you can't keep answering those calls. So there needs to be a rule put in place. It's like, okay, darling, I love you. Don't call me unless the kitchen's on fire. I know I'm sounding facetious. I'm just trying to be slightly amusing when I talk about this. But you can't have someone calling you, giving you the news all the time, or your best mate saying, blah, blah, blah just happened, and in 15 minutes this has happened, and that's just distracting. It
is distracting. And I think for me, understanding myself, I knew that I know those things exist. I know Facebook's there. I know Twitter's there. So no amount of work on my part will stop me knowing those things exist.
Yes.
So, the distraction is a mental thing. It's not a practical thing. And in order to avoid the distraction, I needed to practice avoiding the distraction. That's why I talk about, what I did, whether that was focusing on writing a brief for someone or writing a sort of longer form essay, then it gave me that practice to kind of avoid those distractions.
So it's all about learning how to stay on track and focus on what you've got to get done. I'm not quite sure how Tim Ferriss worded this in his book, but he talks about the death of time management. It's a really interesting chapter, and I've really liked it because there was another quote, and I have, again, no idea who said this, but it wasn't Tim Ferriss, but it's like, you cannot manage time. There is no such thing as time management. You can only manage yourself. So within this elimination phase of the deal methodology, we start to talk about how we manage what we do with our time, not how we manage time itself, how we manage ourselves. And we can get into things like default diaries. We can look at certain times of the day when it's best to check or do certain tasks, which might be like checking email or something like that. And that can start to eliminate all the fuzz in the day that doesn't actually get anywhere or give you anything or get you closer to your goals.
Exactly.
It does sound a little bit Virgo, a little bit too over the top. But the thing is, once you start to really focus on getting all this stuff dialed in, you can work with it for, a month or two, and then you can step back and say, geez, that was crazy. That was a little bit too much focus on precision with how I do stuff. But now I know what works and what doesn't. I can get a little bit more relaxed about it. But I've eliminated all that crap that I was doing before that I didn't even know was taking up my time.
Yeah, I think going to those extremes and practicing is a really great way to come back to the middle and say, okay, yeah, actually this works or that works.
That's the ongoing discussion about is the GTD methodology all that good for productivity?
Yes.
And it's going to be a never-ending discussion, because the thing is, it is over the top. It really is completely insane, and you almost have to be overly meticulous to do it. But once you've done it for a little while, you understand how your own brain works, and you can step back and like that to-do task list manager that Caleb was talking about a few weeks back. I've started using that. It's brilliant. I just punch in 2 to 3 tasks a day, and what it does is if I miss anything, it automatically piles them up into the next day, so I can just keep pushing them out if I need to. If they're important, they're done, and I tick them off. But it still reminds me of what I've got to get done. I don't need to do anything else anymore. I don't need to have contexts and projects and all this other kind of crap.
No, neither do I. I mean, that's how I use Remember the Milk. I use they have 3 priorities, top, middle, and low priority, and then just normal tasks. And,
gotcha.
And so I use what's in the top priority are the 3 to 5 things that I really have to get done that day.
Yeah.
I might have in the middle priority contact that I need to make with people, like calls or sort of invoicing. And then the things that are in the low priority area are things that aren't necessarily urgent for that day. They're just generally for that week. And at the end of each day, you just move into the next day. So
yeah, exactly right. I mean, I've even dumbed down priorities because there's no option to do that in To-Do, which is quite nice. I just review it the day before and order it in terms of priority. So I hit the first task first, and there's nothing wrong with having like color highlighted priorities and priority options within your software, but ultimately you have to make the decision at some point what's a priority and what's not.
So in To-Do, you just drag them up and down, do you?
Yeah, I can just drag and drop wherever I want them.
Nice.
And I'm not saying one's better than the other, but what I am saying is once you've done something like GTD or a fairly hardcore meticulous methodology, you can see whether you can trust your own judgment or not.
Interesting.
So you start. So what I've done, and the reason I'm trying to talk about this is I've actually eliminated all this overhead work that I was doing, trying to get my priorities right, my tasks right, having my to-do list sorted out. I don't even have to worry about that anymore. There's no overhead. I just go bang, bang, bang. This has got to get done. And the idea that if you have a good idea, it's never going to go away. It's going to keep coming back into your head. So you don't have to worry about trying to capture it. You're never going to lose it. You lose the crap ideas, but you maintain the good ideas. They just come back to you when they just resurface at another time.
And the chances are if they resurface, they're going to be an even better idea too.
Yeah, it's good. It's developed in your subconscious a little bit. So I used to agonize over, will I remember this stuff, and have a pad down at the side of my bed, and I'd write all my ideas down, and then I'd find out the pieces of paper that were dotted all over my life would have the same ideas on them. So the ideas keep coming back. I didn't need to worry about agonizing again. So eliminated something that was unnecessary and wasteful.
Now, we spoke about this momentarily before, but sometimes the problem isn't the processes in your life, it's the people.
Yeah, unfortunate but true.
And this is probably one of the more unfortunate parts of this episode on elimination. So, sometimes you have to eliminate people, or at least reduce the amount of contact you have with them, don't you?
Well, yeah, and it's the really uncomfortable part for most people. I would suggest there are, sort of for everyone, 2 to 5 people that you just probably shouldn't be associating with for whatever reason, whether they're dragging you back down to their level, whether, they're keeping you negative, a bad influence on where you want to go to. It's kind of like that old adage about you need to associate with the people you want to be.
Exactly.
So if you want to be a multi-billionaire, you want to go and find multi-billionaires to hang out with, or at least millionaires. You don't want to be hanging out with the guy, who's got no money and sits on the couch smoking ciggies all day. Doesn't work for you.
Won't work for you, will it?
Yeah, I've heard people that are just so focused on needing to become successful, or whatever that means to them, that like they don't even see their dads anymore because their dad was the person who was bringing them back. A big call.
It is a big call, isn't it? Huge
call. But look, you're gonna have to make some very tough decisions, and maybe it is. Look, you can't see your dad because he's just not right for you. I mean, thank God I'm not in that position, and I'm not saying everyone go out and stop seeing your parents, but there are some uncomfortable decisions that probably need to be made in terms of the people that you associate with.
And I guess that can occur in a few different ways. You can set rules around what is good for me and what's not. It's a process of refinement, isn't it?
It is. I mean, you don't have to be rough and just go, oh, don't call me anymore. Then there's going to be ways of going about this kind of thing. One of the things I recently did was changed my voicemail message, and I'm very, on my side, in terms of receiving emails, I'm very strict with just deleting stuff. Like my first step when I open up my inbox in the morning is I delete the stuff that I have no interest in.
Oh, yeah, me too. Me too.
And then if I read something that one of my staff can do or one of my virtual assistants, I'll delegate it. And if it's nothing that needs me to look at right now, it gets deferred. And if I can do it in 2 minutes, I'll do it right now. Like if it's a 2-line answer, then I'll do it right now.
Yeah, take care of it. Absolutely.
So that's the way I do it, email. And my voicemail now says, I don't really like getting voicemails because they take up too much of my time. Can you please send me a text message? And if it's really important, leave a voice message and I'll get around to it. But it's going to be more efficient for us both if you send me a text. Because if I can answer it in a text, I'll answer you straight away, or else I'll know to call you later on.
Yeah.
Because I know I'm terrible with voicemails. Like I just forget to check them. And sometimes I check 3 days later and someone's left me an important voicemail and I've completely forgotten. So I'm trying to make it better for everyone. Yes, especially me, because I don't want to waste my time. Like so often people leave me a voice message and it's, "Hi Adam, can you call me back?"
And you have no idea what it's about.
Well, I have no. So yeah, I don't know what the context is. Do I need to call you now? Is it a social thing that I should call you after work? And it's just taken me a minute to call up voicemail, press the 15 buttons to get to your message, listen to it. Maybe it was muffled and I had to listen to it again. Then I have to delete it, and then I have to call you anyway. So send me a text that says, "Call me."
Right, I'm going to start leaving you messages now. "Hi Adam, can you call me back?"
Yeah, I actually have one friend who purposely leaves me a message that says, "Hi, it's me. Call me back." Just because of what but you're going to get that. And maybe I need to eliminate said person.
Maybe this brings us to the final point of the elimination episode, saying no.
We've gone over this before, but it bears repeating. It bears repeating. Yeah, sometimes someone will come through your office door with a wonderful proposal and a wonderful idea, and it'll sound brilliant, and you'll get really excited, and you'll say no. And you'll say no because no matter how good that thing is, you've got other good things happening at the moment, and the new shiny green grass is greener on the other side of the hill thing that's just come up is only going to distract you from what you're already doing.
Yep. And we know that everything good takes time, And if you keep getting distracted by the things coming in, they might be just as good, but you've already spent the time on the thing that you're working on.
Exactly.
It's a waste. So,
to wrap this up in a nice bundle of joy with a red ribbon on top, the whole idea of elimination is getting rid of the stuff that's going to stop you achieving the goals that you have clearly defined in the definition process, in the definition step. You're getting rid of wastage, stuff that's unnecessary, and you might as well go into stuff, like get rid of stuff you don't like and all that kind of stuff as well.
Well, I thought the quote this week should come from Lou Holtz, the famous American football coach and motivational speaker, and he said it brilliantly when he said, "Motivation is simple. You eliminate those who aren't motivated."
I love it.
You've been listening to Simplify My Small Business with me, Simon Hampson.
And me, Adam Stanecki.
For show notes, more episodes and recommended resources, please visit us at simplifymysmallbusiness.com. Jot a quick review in iTunes or on the website, and let your friends know about the show. We always love it when people tell us that they've been recommended the show by a friend or two. And we'll talk to you again in a couple of weeks.
And just a quick postscript, we are going to be adding more and more material to the website, more articles, more bits and pieces. So please start checking the site. I think you're going to like what you're going to find there.
You can now check us out on YouTube as well, if you're at work.
Oh, true.
Or on the move. And you know.
So true.
Wonderful
anyway,
stuff.
Just don't check the videos out when you're driving your car, though, okay? It's not going to work so well for you.
We'll see you again soon.
Thank you all. Thanks for listening.